There's something every man notices about a woman long before her beauty, long before her style, and long before anything physical. It's not about what she wears, expensive her perfume is, or how many compliments she gets. No, the truth is far more subtle and far more powerful. What truly captures a man's attention are the behaviors, the quiet little details, the way she carries herself when she thinks no one is watching. A woman can walk into a room without saying a single word and still shift the entire atmosphere. Not because of her looks, but because of the way she moves, the way she speaks, or chooses not to speak. Men may admire beauty, but beauty is common. What is rare, what is unforgettable, what men find wildly attractive are the timeless behaviors of a woman who knows her worth and carries herself with class. Think about it. Why is it that some women are remembered long after the first encounter, while others fade from memory as quickly as they appeared? It's because a man's soul does not hold on to the surface. It clings to essence. He remembers the way she remained calm when others lost control. He remembers the way her words cut through noise without ever raising her voice. He remembers how her presence demanded respect without her asking for it. And here's the secret. Men never say it out loud, but they notice everything. They notice how you handle pressure. They notice how you treat people who cannot give you anything. They notice whether you respect your own time or give it away freely. And more than anything, they notice whether you carry yourself like someone who needs to be chosen or like someone who has already chosen herself. That is the difference. That is what sets a woman apart. And once a man experiences it, he cannot unsee it, he cannot forget it. Beauty may capture the eyes, but these 5 classy behaviors, they capture the mind, the heart, and the respect of every man who encounters them. Men notice more than looks. Beauty may catch the eye, but its behavior, presence, and energy that leave a lasting impression. A woman's class is revealed not in what she says loudly, but in the subtle ways she carries herself. Let's explore 5 timeless behaviors that men always notice in a woman and find deeply, almost irresistibly attractive. The first is graceful confidence. A woman who knows her worth doesn't need to announce it. She moves with ease, speaks with calm certainty, and never begs for validation. Men instantly recognize this aura because it is rare. Confidence without arrogance creates a magnetic pull that is impossible to ignore. The second is emotional composure. Life is unpredictable, but a classy woman does not let every small storm shake her spirit. Instead of overreacting, she breathes, observes, and responds with poise. Men admire this restraint because it signals strength, maturity, and emotional intelligence. It's the kind of calm that makes others feel safe in her presence. The third is respectful elegance in communication. She chooses her words with care. She doesn't gossip, she doesn't belittle, and she doesn't raise her voice to dominate. Instead, she speaks with intention, listens with depth, and carries conversations that leave people feeling enriched. This kind of refined communication is unforgettable because it is so rare in a world full of noise. The fourth is boundaries with kindness. A classy woman knows how to say no without hostility and yes without desperation. She respects herself enough to protect her energy, and in doing so, she earns the respect of others. Men notice when a woman has standards because boundaries signal self-respect, and self-respect is one of the most magnetic qualities of all. And finally, the fifth behavior is the art of subtle femininity. It's in the gentle smile, the way she carries herself with elegance, the warmth she gives without overexertion. She doesn't chase attention, attention naturally flows to her. Men find this balance of softness and strength absolutely captivating because it reflects inner harmony. When a woman embodies these 5 behaviors, graceful confidence, emotional composure, elegant communication, boundaries with kindness, and subtle femininity, she becomes unforgettable. Not because she tried to impress, but because she simply lived in her truth. That is what men notice. That is what they cannot forget. And here's the beautiful truth. When men notice these behaviors, it's not because they're ticking off a checklist or consciously analyzing everything you do. It's because energy doesn't lie. People feel how you make them feel. Men sense when a woman has stepped into her grace, when she carries herself with a quiet kind of power, and when she's no longer moved by the shallow games of validation. That's why true class is so magnetic. It's not forced, it's lived. Think about confidence for a moment. There is a difference between a woman who tries to appear confident and a woman who simply is. Men can always tell the difference. Pretend confidence feels loud, showy, and even desperate for approval. Real confidence, on the other hand, is silent but powerful. It's the woman who doesn't need to prove her worth in every room because she already knows it. She doesn't shrink to make others comfortable, but she doesn't need to dominate to be seen either. This balance is magnetic because it makes men feel they are in the presence of someone secure, someone stable, someone who doesn't need saving, but who can inspire. Then there's emotional composure. Life tests us all, and emotions are natural. But composure is not about suppressing them, it's about mastering them. A woman who can feel deeply but still remain centered in her response is unforgettable. Men notice when a woman can handle pressure without collapsing, when she can disagree without disrespect, when she can face challenges without losing her essence. This doesn't mean she never feels anger or sadness. It means she channels those emotions with wisdom. That ability sets her apart because it shows she's not controlled by chaos, but by clarity. Communication, too, speaks volumes. You can tell a woman's class by the way she speaks when she's upset, by the way she talks about people when they're not in the room, and by how she treats those who cannot give her anything in return. Men notice this instantly. A woman who avoids gossip, who doesn't poison conversations with negativity, and who carries words that uplift rather than destroy, she becomes rare, and rarity is always attractive. When a man hears a woman speak with elegance, even in moments of conflict, it makes her unforgettable, because it shows she doesn't lose herself in the storm. Boundaries, though, may be the most magnetic quality of all. Men respect what you respect. If you do not respect your own time, your own energy, your own values, why should anyone else? A classy woman understands this, so she sets boundaries not as walls, but as doors with locks. She decides who gets access, how much access, and on what terms. She can say no without guilt and yes without desperation. Men find this attractive because it tells them, I value myself, and if you want a place in my life, you must value me too. That subtle strength is more compelling than any physical beauty. And then there is the art of subtle femininity, something men never fail to notice even if they don't have the words to explain it. It's in her softness that doesn't equal weakness, her warmth that doesn't equal neediness, her elegance that doesn't scream for attention but commands it naturally. She doesn't have to chase because her presence invites. She doesn't have to beg for affection because her energy draws it. This balance, strength without hardness, softness without fragility, is what makes her unforgettable. When you put all these behaviors together, you begin to see a picture of a woman who lives from the inside out, not from the outside in. She is not swayed by trends, opinions, or fleeting validation. She is rooted, grounded, and aligned with her own worth. And men, whether they admit it or not, are deeply drawn to this kind of woman because she represents something they crave: stability, elegance, and authenticity in a world that often feels shallow and chaotic. The truth is, men may admire beauty, but they pursue class. Beauty may capture the eye, but class captures the soul. And when a woman lives with these behaviors consistently, she doesn't just attract admiration, she earns lasting respect. She becomes the woman who is remembered long after she has left the room, the one who lingers in the mind not because of what she wore, but because of how she carried herself. And here's the part most people don't realize: class is not about being perfect. It's not about never making mistakes, never raising your voice, never feeling insecure. No, a truly classy woman has all of those moments too. She's human. What sets her apart is how she chooses to rise above them. She doesn't stay in the place of bitterness. She doesn't let temporary emotions destroy permanent connections. And she doesn't abandon her dignity for the sake of winning a moment. Men notice this. They may not even be able to explain why, but they feel it. It feels like safety. It feels like calm. It feels like home. Think about how rare it is in today's world to meet someone who doesn't need to broadcast everything, who doesn't need to be the loudest in the room to feel seen. When a woman carries herself with quiet confidence, she is noticed even in silence. In fact, silence becomes her power. She doesn't rush to fill every gap in a conversation. She allows pauses, she allows eye contact, she allows her energy to speak for her. And men, whether they're aware of it or not, are drawn to this because it communicates self-assurance at the deepest level. And then there's the way she handles disrespect. Every woman will encounter it at some point. A man who tests her boundaries, a friend who underestimates her, or a stranger who tries to provoke her. The average reaction is to fight with the same energy, to lose composure, to give the other person control. But a classy woman doesn't fight at their level. She doesn't argue endlessly to prove a point. She doesn't lower herself, she simply disengages. She knows that silence, distance, and self-respect are more powerful than any comeback. And men notice this, it shocks them. Because most people are addicted to drama, but a classy woman refuses to feed it. That restraint is magnetic. Communication, too, reveals everything. A woman with class doesn't just talk, she listens. She makes people feel seen. She doesn't just wait for her turn to speak, she engages with depth. Men remember this because it is so rare to meet someone who truly listens. And when she does speak, her words are intentional. She doesn't destroy with sarcasm or belittle with gossip. She builds, she heals, she uplifts. Even in disagreement, her tone is steady, words are chosen. This doesn't make her weak. It makes her unforgettable. Because anyone can raise their voice, but only a few can raise the level of the conversation. Boundaries are another form of elegance, and men respect them more than they will ever admit. When a woman has no boundaries, when she says yes to everything, when she tolerates disrespect, she might think she's being kind or accommodating. But men see it differently. They see it as weakness. They see it as a lack of self-respect. A classy woman understands this, which is why she guards her time, her body, her emotions, and her energy. She doesn't allow just anyone to have access to her world. And ironically, it is this very selectiveness that makes men value her more. Because anything rare is precious, and she has made herself rare by not being available to everyone. And then, there is the softness, the subtle femininity that men crave but cannot always put into words. It's in the way she smiles, not forced, but genuine. It's in the way she carries herself, shoulders back, posture strong, movements intentional. It's in the way she can soften the atmosphere of a room without saying a word. This doesn't mean she is submissive. On the contrary, it takes great strength to remain soft in a world that constantly tries to harden you. That balance, strength wrapped in softness, is what makes her unforgettable. Now, let's look deeper into why men notice these behaviors so intensely. A man's heart is not just moved by beauty. Beauty is everywhere, online, in magazines, on screens. But class is rare, and rare things have value. Men are wired to pursue what is valuable, what is scarce, what is not easily replaceable. A classy woman, through her behaviors, communicates, I am valuable. I am not common. I cannot be replaced. And this message is received even without words. It's also important to understand that men feel safest with a woman who has mastered herself. Because if she has mastered herself, she cannot be manipulated, she cannot be easily broken, and she cannot be swayed by every storm. Men respect this deeply, even if they don't say it aloud, because it means that being with her adds stability to their lives instead of chaos. And stability, paired with elegance, creates desire that goes beyond physical attraction. So when we say men notice these 5 behaviors, confidence, composure, communication, boundaries, and femininity, we're really talking about the deeper layers of attraction. These are not tricks. These are not tactics. These are ways of being. And they cannot be faked. They must be lived, cultivated, and embodied. That's why when a man encounters a truly classy woman, she stays in his memory forever. Because she is not just another face in the crowd. She is the standard by which he measures others. And here's something powerful to understand. When a man notices a woman who embodies class, it's not simply admiration. It's a deep sense of recognition. It's as if he is witnessing something rare in a world where so many have forgotten the art of self-respect, patience, and dignity. Men live in a culture filled with noise, where attention is demanded, where people fight to be seen, where everything feels rushed and disposable. But then, suddenly, he meets a woman who doesn't compete with the noise. She doesn't scream for attention. She doesn't chase validation. She simply is. And that is what makes him stop in his tracks. That is what makes him pay attention. Class is quiet power. It doesn't have to announce itself. It doesn't have to prove itself. It doesn't have to bargain for recognition. And that is exactly why men notice it. A woman who carries herself with class is unforgettable because she is the contrast to the chaos around her. She becomes the calm in the storm. She becomes the standard, even if he doesn't realize it at first. Think about the woman who never begs for a man's attention. She is kind, she is warm, but she is never desperate. She can enjoy his presence, but she does not need it to complete her. She can love deeply, but she does not lose herself in the process. This kind of self-containment is magnetic. Men notice when a woman does not try to manipulate with neediness or cling with insecurity. Instead, she holds her space with grace. And the irony is the less she chases, the more he pursues. Now let's look at composure again, because this is one of the most underestimated traits. Picture two women in the same situation. Both are criticized unfairly. One reacts immediately, raises her voice, loses control, and demands recognition. The other, she breathes, she looks. She speaks firmly but calmly. She does not let herself be pulled into unnecessary battles. She doesn't waste her energy on those who don't deserve it. Which woman do you think leaves a lasting impression? Men notice this difference. They see that the first woman may be fiery, but she is unstable. The second woman, however, radiates strength. She communicates that no one can shake her peace unless she allows it. And that level of emotional mastery is unforgettable. Men are also deeply influenced by communication, though they may not admit it openly. The way a woman uses her words tells him everything about her. When she speaks, is it to create drama or to create clarity? When she listens, is it only to respond or to truly understand? A classy woman knows the power of words. She doesn't waste them on tearing others down. She doesn't need to humiliate to prove her intelligence. Instead, her words reflect her inner world, measured, thoughtful, intentional. And because of this, men remember her conversations long after they end, not because of the topic, but because of the way she made them feel. Boundaries are another thing men never fail to notice, even if they don't admit it. Men test boundaries, sometimes consciously, often unconsciously, and a woman without boundaries may think she is being loving, but men interpret it as weakness. A woman with boundaries, on the other hand, communicates strength without saying a word. She shows that she values herself, that her time and energy are not free for the taking, that she knows her worth, and men respect that. In fact, the very boundaries that others fear to set are the ones that make her most attractive. Because boundaries say, if you want access to me, you must rise to meet my standard. And finally, there's the subtle art of femininity, the one quality that ties all the others together. A woman who is strong but still soft, confident but still kind, grounded but still graceful. She becomes unforgettable. Men notice the way she smiles genuinely, the way she moves with elegance, the way her presence shifts the energy of a room without her saying a word. It's not about being submissive, it's about being in balance. Femininity is not weakness. It is strength wrapped in softness, and that is why it is so rare and so powerful. When you bring all of these together, confidence, composure, communication, boundaries, and femininity, you create a woman who is more than beautiful. She is magnetic. She is remembered. She is respected. Men admire beauty, yes, but beauty fades. Men pursue attraction, yes, but attraction shifts. But class, that endures. Class leaves a mark on the soul because it is not external, it is internal. It is not a performance, it is an essence. And that essence is what men notice and never forget. And let me tell you something even deeper. When a woman embodies class, she doesn't just attract men, she elevates them. Because men feel compelled to rise when they are in the presence of a woman who will not lower herself. She becomes the mirror that reflects to him who he must become if he wants to stand beside her. And that is why men notice. That is why men remember. That is why men will chase beauty but hold on to class. So if you've ever wondered what men truly find attractive, it is not perfection, not performance, not pretending to be something you are not. It is the simple, powerful behaviors of a woman who has mastered herself. A woman who respects herself, who speaks with intention, who holds her standards, who softens without losing strength. That woman is not just attractive, she is unforgettable.